Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex. I'm here with my co-host,
It's your boy, Daniel Perez.
and welcome to the first, very inaugural episode of the Whole Lotta Sports Podcast.
You already know?
Me and Daniel, always sports fans our whole life, and we always talked. We could talk hours in group chats in real life and everything. And we just decided, hey, let's make a YouTube channel about it. Let's see if we can get other people to get in this. Let's have our opinions heard all around the world and all that.
Of course.
So this first episode, this is an introduction episode. You know, we're gonna get the feel of everything. We're gonna give our 3 favorite football players of all time and our 3 favorite basketball players of all time. And to clear this up, this is not our list of the top 3 greatest of all time. This is our personal favorite. You know, just get comfortable with this whole setup and everything. And we're just gonna jump straight in there. I'm gonna start us off. Mike Vick. Growing up, my favorite quarterback of all time. I'm a lefty. Michael Vick's a lefty. I didn't start playing quarterback in high school until my junior year. But always growing up, always loved his highlights. I've seen his highlights. I can't even count how many times I've seen all of his highlights. Come on, he was the first. He was drafted first overall, 2001. The first African American quarterback to be drafted first overall. He's arguably like the most athletic quarterback of all time. Honestly, without Vic, we wouldn't see quarterbacks like Mariota, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. He really revolutionized that dual threat. You know, quarterbacks should have legs too. He was really, in my opinion, he's pretty underrated, mainly because of his whole, the dog issue and all that. But in his first year as a starter, almost 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, not too great, but 777 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and he made the Pro Bowl. His first year as a starter. And he just kept growing and growing until 2006 when we saw probably the best Michael Vick. 2,400 passing yards. He had 20 touchdowns. First quarterback to ever reach 1,000 rushing yards in one season. And he made the Pro Bowl that year too. And then, we all know that whole issue he had with the dogs. He went to prison. He was gone for 2 years. And he came back and he made the comeback with the Eagles. 2010, comeback player of the year, Michael Vick. In my opinion, the best overall Michael Vick in his whole career. 3,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 700 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. And then, of course, won the comeback player of the year. He really had that mindset of he needs to prove. He's got something to prove. He matured, the whole prison thing, being out of the league, getting mentorship from Donovan McNabb. And honestly, if this Eagle mindset Vic was in Falcons Vic, we would have seen one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Hot take, but with that mature, have something to prove mindset Vic with the athletic, young Atlanta Vic, it really would have just been something spectacular. Continuing the Eagles, it wasn't really pretty much 1 year, that one good year, comeback player of the year, and then injuries. He started getting older, and then he ends up on the Jets. And our really forgettable year with the Jets, he just took over for the injured Geno Smith. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks in his time there. So really nothing too special. And then at the very end, my favorite Vic, when he was with the Steelers, again, took over for injured Roethlisberger. No, his stats weren't too crazy. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was at the end of his career. He wasn't as athletic, shifty, and all that. But Vic, being a lefty quarterback, connected to Vic a lot. I love watching his stats and the way his game was. I really tried to model my game after that. But yeah, that's really all I got on Vic. Moving on, I'm gonna hand it off to Daniel, who's gonna talk about one of his favorite football players of all time, Sean Taylor.
110%. Mike Vick is one of the greatest, honestly, in my opinion, one of the greatest quarterbacks all time. I mean, when you talk about bringing a video game into, like, NFL, like that big, you couldn't tackle him. Too fast, definitely. Precise passing, just crazy. Human joystick, just phenomenal. Anyways, one of my favorite safeties of all time, Sean Taylor. Drafted in the first round, picked number 5 overall by the Washington Redskins. Played 55 games with a total of 12 interceptions, 2-time Pro Bowler, 6'3", 220, 8 forced fumbles, 1 fumble return for a touchdown, 238 tackles, just crazy. When this man was coming for you, you just knew. You just knew that he was coming for your head and that he wanted you dead. And rest in peace to the great Sean Taylor. Played at Miami, University of Miami. I think he went there as a linebacker, and then they converted him to a safety. And then when he came into the NFL, didn't start right away. Had a great pick in the end zone, I think in the preseason, and then that's when they knew that he was just going to be great. Of course, Alex, you already know you can't forget about that Pro Bowl play where he almost killed the punter. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you can argue that back in the day they took the Pro Bowl serious, but I mean that was Sean Taylor. Like if he was coming for you, he was going to take your head off.
Yep, definitely.
And just crazy, and just I mean, come on, this guy. Anyways, then we're back to Alex.
Yeah, and moving on. My opinion, the greatest running back of all time. I will take that to heart. I'll take that to the grave. LaDainian Tomlinson. With me, LaDainian Tomlinson, he's the definition of, heart, of what you got inside is what really matters. Wasn't a big, tall, crazy, running back, like your Eric Dickerson's, who's like 6'3", 200-something pounds. He was not that undersized, but he definitely wasn't big up there. But he was, all of his talk was on the field, despite how little he was compared to the other ones. He was drafted same year as Vic, 5th overall. 2006 NFL MVP. He broke that record for most overall touchdowns for a running back in a season. He had his year in 2006, 1,815 yards, 28 touchdowns. With to add on to that, 56 catches, 500 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 32 touchdowns in a season. 31 touchdowns. 31 touchdowns, NFL record. 2004 MVP. When you think about, he really brought the Chargers back into the light, back to being contenders. Because after like the 70s, 80s with Kellen Winslow, Dan Fouts, they really were in a dark place when they were in LA, or not in LA, when they were in San Diego after that time. And then LT comes around. They have Drew Brees too. That team, Drew Brees, Lorenzo Neal, Antonio Gates, LaDainian Tomlinson. They really brought the Chargers back into title contention, and they really were like one of the best teams of that era, and all thanks to LaDainian Tomlinson and how shifty and quick he was in his running game. And did you know that Wes Welker was actually on this roster? Wes Welker was on this Chargers team, but at that time he was just a rookie. He was a return man. But when I found out, that
drafted?
was crazy. Yeah, or undrafted.
No.
Chargers got him as an undrafted free agent, and he was on that roster with LT, Breeze, Neal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then after the Chargers, he ended up going to the Jets. He did have about a good year with the Jets. They obviously went to the AFC Championship game with Mark Sanchez when they were, but they couldn't beat the Patriots. But they really had LaDainian Tomlinson for his leadership skills, because he really was a leader. When you watch his highlights, you watch his pregame speeches, his anything like that, you could tell LaDainian Tomlinson really loved the game of football. He took it to heart. He was a really great leader, and they really brought him into that Jets locker room so that he could give those young players, mentorship, any advice he could give to them, and he really proved he was one of the greatest of all time, and now he's a Hall of Famer. And moving on now, back to Daniel, talking about one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time.
Hands down. I mean, Deion Sanders, just phenomenal player, arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, corners of all time. I mean, you can't get the name prime time just by accident. Yep. I mean, this man, if I was a quarterback playing against Deion Sanders, I mean, coach, I feel sick, put it in the backup, because I'm not going to have Deion Sanders ruin my stats. This man is so fast, probably running a 4.2 in his combine, just crazy skills, ball hawk eyes, just intercepting the ball. Just crazy speed. I mean, nobody could catch up to this guy. He was a kick returner, punt returner. Just blazing speed. I mean, it's phenomenal. Of course, he was on the Atlanta Falcons, had 24 interceptions in a total of 5 years. Didn't win any championships there, sadly. And then I believe he went to the San Francisco 49ers first. In one season, had 6 interceptions. 6. Won a Super Bowl. And then went to the rivals, the Cowboys, and then won back-to-back Super Bowls. Had 14 interceptions there with 5 seasons. And then, on the back half of his career, he went to Baltimore and Washington. He wasn't really the same player. He also is the only player to ever play in the World Series and the Super Bowl.
That's crazy. That just really shows how much of an athlete he was and how gifted he was.
Exactly. This man, just crazy. His celebration started at the 50-yard line, just high-stepping into the end zone, prime time, What I also wanted to bring up was he was the only. I believe Bo Jackson might have done this, but he played a football game and then played a baseball game right after.
I heard that.
Yep. Just crazy. Prime time. You can't say enough about him.
Yep, truly one of the greats. We all know he's a Hall of Famer. Really, not much needs to be said about Neon Dion.
Of course.
So moving on, I'm going on to, in my opinion, my favorite wide receiver of all time, and who I think is severely underrated. We have got Calvin Johnson, Megatron.
Highly underrated.
Yeah, Megatron. It's so unfortunate that he stuck with the Lions his entire career. Only went to the playoffs twice and lost both games. Almost hit 2,000 yards in one season with Matt Stafford as his quarterback. And Matt Stafford may have like one good year, but just imagine Megatron if he actually had a quarterback, or if he actually was with a team that was a contender. He really truly could have gone up there with top 5 wide receiver in stats. Truly, he could have been up there with Rice, Moss, because he was 6'5", 237. And watching highlights, he's running past DBs that are half his size at 6'5", 237. He's catching balls in triple coverage, double coverage, just no matter what. Throw it up, Megatron's going to catch it. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2012, 1,964 yards, 5 touchdowns. He averaged 122.8 yards a game, every game of the season. And also unfortunate that year after he retires, Lions go back to the playoffs. But really, Megatron's always one of my favorite. I love watching his highlights, his strides. He takes such quick strides. He's so fast that for a guy his size, honestly, if he was on a better team, had a better quarterback, he really could be up there with Jerry Rice as one of the greatest of all time.
Of course.
And moving on to the actual GOAT, Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. Hall of Famer, 13-time Pro Bowler, 10-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ. Come on. I'm speechless, man. You want to talk Deion Sanders, but on offense, this was Jerry Rice.
Exactly.
Nobody could cover this man, and if you did cover him, sorry, he still caught it. Running in easy for the touchdown. All-time receiving leader, all-time scoring leader. 4 rings, 5 Super Bowl appearances. Sadly, one of them was with the Raiders, but the 49ers did not want to sign him. But come on, just crazy. He was in that offense, that Joe Montana offense. The first, I think it was the first West Coast offense. I think they started the slants.
Bill Walsh, yeah.
Bill Walsh slant routes, and then just Jerry Rice down the field streaking. 4th overall, I think Miss Valley St. College.
Yeah, Mississippi Valley. Yep.
Yeah.
Small ass school.
Some small school out of nowhere. Just kid who wanted to be great. You don't get the name GOAT, like literally GOAT, like just crazy wide receiver.
The greatest of all time. Moving on, switching gears now, we're moving on to basketball. Let's start off Vince Carter, Air Canada, the greatest dunker of all time. Everyone knows his 360 windmill dunk, his his hand in the cookie jar dunk. Just everyone knows those clips of Shaq holding the camcorder, just mouth just wide open, everyone's shocked. We all know how much potential he could have had if he stayed in Toronto, if T-Mac stayed in Toronto, how far the Toronto Raptors could have gone with him if they stayed with him. All that. 2001, arguably his best season, 28 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. He was the 1999 Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately now we mainly know Vince Carter as a journeyman. He's really just this old head that just bounces around teams every year. But at least now when he jumps around to his teams, he's giving those young guys that advice. He's giving them that leadership. He's giving them, all his tidbits that he's learned from all the different teams all from throughout his career. And truly, everyone, once Vince Carter took over the dunk championships and in-game dunks, what kid didn't want to go around dunking on everyone, doing all his crazy spin move dunks and all that stuff? Honestly, he's one of my favorite players growing up, watching him. And there's really not enough said about Air Canada. And moving on, we've got Ray Allen.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. Sugar Ray. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest. I was going to say the greatest, but, Steph Curry, in today's NBA.
He's coming up.
Today's NBA, it's easier.
Yeah.
Not as much defense played. He is playing with 4 other All-Stars, so, I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Steph.
That's another episode.
That's another episode, 4 All-Stars, of course, you can't guard everybody, but, it's whatever. It's Steph Curry. He does have one of the fastest releases, even when he only had 2 other All-Stars on his team, and we still couldn't stop him. But anyways, besides it, it's Jesus Shuttlesworth. We're talking Bucks, Ray Allen to the league. Nobody knew what this kid had. Don't even bring up the dunking picture. This guy was just underrated from the jump. From the Bucks, averaging 24 points per game, 4.2 assists, and 2.7 rebounds. Coming off, I'm talking about the Sonics. Jeez, yeah, I'm talking about the Sonics. I mean, like I was saying, like the Bucks, underrated. But Sonics, he did have one of the greatest, seasons he's ever had. Because with the Sonics, he could be himself. He was just shooting the lights out. Just crazy. And then you have him with the Celtics, which I don't like. Personally, I don't like Ray Allen on the Celtics because he was just a role player. He was just there.
Okay, he was not a role player.
Yes, he was.
He was a big part of that championship team.
Come on. Okay, yes, exactly. He's a role player. You have Rondo running it. You have Paul Pierce, and then you have Kevin Garnett, the big ticket. Come on, you can't tell me Ray Allen wasn't in their shadow.
He was. He was getting up there in age. I'll give you that.
But he was a role player. Rondo didn't like him as much, and how are you gonna have a heated argument over 2 seasons with your point guard, your starting point guard? He's not gonna feed you the ball. Come on. Plus, you have Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. Come on, he was in their shadow.
I'll give you that.
He was an 18-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, 12-time All-Defensive. Oh, I'm talking about Kobe. See, I'm so bad at this, man.
First episode, we're getting there.
Man. Anyways, Celtics, 16 points per game, 2.7 assists, and 3.4 rebounds. Like I said, he wasn't what he could be. If you put Ray Allen in today's NBA, oh my God, watch out.
What I believe about Ray Allen is that he really needed to be his own. He couldn't really share the floor with as many stars as he did in Boston.
You can't let him be a role player. And you can't have another star with Ray Allen. He has to be able to shoot the lights out. He has to have the ball in his hand. But then again, he wasn't shooting guard. He wasn't a point guard. And then at the back end of his career, he was with the Heat again, another role player. You can't forget about him saving LeBron's ass in Game 6 against the Spurs. I mean, LeBron bricks. He doesn't brick, but he just doesn't make the 3. Botched rebounds. 9 seconds left. Ray Allen hits the clutch shot in Game 6, and then I believe they win, and then they won Game 7, correct?
Yep.
So 2-time NBA champion Ray Allen, Jesus Shuttlesworth, second best 3-point shooter all time.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Ray Allen, one of my favorite players. Being a Celtics fan, I've always wanted that white Allen 20 jersey. Ooh, moving on to one of his teammates, Kevin Garnett, big ticket. We all know Kevin Garnett with the Wolves. Well, at that time when he was with the Wolves, he was top 3 player in the league. But we all know the Wolves, they always have horrible management. They can never put stars around Kevin Garnett. It happened again with Kevin Love. But going back to Kevin Garnett, 15-time All-Star, 12-time All-Defensive Team, 2007, 2008 Defensive Player of the Year. 2004, he won MVP as a member of the Timberwolves, 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 50% from the field. We all know he was trying his hardest to put the Timberwolves on his back. But again, Timberwolves could never build that team around him. He never could push them to the next step. until finally he was traded to Celtics to join that big three: Rondo, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and then you had Ray Allen. Arguably one of the key parts of that championship team. I remember 2008. That was the first finals I ever watched that made me a Celtics fan. It was just all the blocks he got in that game. It was just on the series. And I honestly, what I loved about him, he loved to talk his trash. He wasn't taking anything from no one. He wasn't taking anything from no one. He knew who he was. He knew who everyone else was, and he stuck to that. When you hear the stories of when him and Joakim Noah were beefing it out, like, it's just crazy the things he was saying. I love that mentality of Kevin Garnett, where as long as you show it on the field, you could talk as much trash as you want, as long as you could prove that you can back up your talk. Talk that talk, walk that walk. That was Kevin Garnett. That's what I loved about Kevin Garnett. And then moving on. Come on. Don't even got to say his name. I'll just let Daniel take it.
Black Mamba. I mean, I read his stats earlier, but top 3, in my opinion, the best. I don't care about NBA Finals. You saw what you got. You saw what we had to deal with. Paul Gasol. Then he had to deal with the Celtics. 18-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, 5 rings, 15 times All-NBA, 12-time All-Defensive. All-Defensive. 2 Finals MVPs. Like I said, Black Mamba. I believe that even if he did stay on the Hornets and he wasn't traded to the Lakers, he wouldn't have been what he was. Because he did not have. I mean, he had those teammates. He had those mentors, the aging all-stars that went to the championships. He learned from them. We had Byron Scott. It's just a Laker. Like, he had that Mamba mentality. He formed his game after Jordan. He delivered. He had 5 championships, but they did get him Shaq. That's all he needed. He just needed a big man, and Kobe just shot the lights out. He went at you, Mamba mentality. He didn't care. You could talk your trash, but then you'd lose at the end of the game. And then, Shaq gaining weight, getting slower, had to fight with Kobe. Shaq leaves. He wanted the money. And then they get Paul Gasol. Like I said, you could give Kobe, Paul Gasol, and 3 other garbage cans, and he will take your team to the NBA Finals. Like, literally, give him trash bags, he'll take your team to the NBA Finals. And just speaks for himself.
And we can't forget 81-point game.
81
second highest scoring, second highest single scoring game in history behind the Wilt's 100. Just crazy, insane. And come on, when you got your little trash and you shoot it to a trash can, what do you say? You say Kobe. No one said.
Fun fact. Kobe scored 41 and 1/2, and his coach said, "Don't you want to get 80?" And he said, "I'll save that for another game." 1 week later, Kobe scores 81.
Yep, crazy. He just whatever he wanted, he did it.
Exactly.
It was all in your head. It's all in your head.
His last game, Shaq came up to him and said, "Hey, old man, get 50 points." Want to know what Kobe did? He got 60. Yeah. That's just Kobe for you.
All in the head, all mental. One of the greats. Moving on, I got Tracy McGrady. In my opinion, the second best scorer behind Kobe Bryant, especially in the 2000s. T-Mac, I think he was the second greatest scorer behind Kobe. T-Mac, 7-time All-Star. We know he's a Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, never got a ring, never got to the finals. He never had that supporting cast. We all know with the Raptors of Vince Carter, he was too young, got a little trouble with the coaches and everything, so he went to the Magic, and that's where he really shined. 2002, 2003 with the Magic, his best season, 32 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. So yeah, just imagine also, this is around the time when the Lakers are starting to fall apart. Shaq was about to come to Magic, so T-Mac and Shaq really would have been a huge thing if they really stayed together for longer. And then we know his stint with the Rockets, where he had a little, still was not as explosive and great as he was in Magic, but still up there, one of the best. His best season with the Rockets, 26 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. Again, unfortunately, they couldn't go as far as the conference finals. As we know with Yao Ming, him and Yao Ming really had that potential to hold the next torch to being the next Kobe and Shaq. And yeah, I know every kid. I remember elementary school, middle school. A lot of my friends wanted to be T-Mac. The way he was flying all over the court, all his dunks. You know how much of a shooter he was. He could spread the floor. He was tall. He was probably like 6'3", 6'4". Really one of the best scorers we've ever seen. And what was the record? Like 11 points in like 7 seconds or something.
13 seconds.
13 seconds
against the Spurs.
Yup, and he won the game just
clutch.
And ones, 3 and 1. Clutch. He really one of the best scorers of the 2000s we've ever seen. And moving on to our final player of the list, Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
Big Diesel. Not even in my opinion, hands down the best center to ever play this game. This kid came in just dunking on everybody, super athletic, just crazy. He had athleticism, but then he would also just, blocks for days, back you down in the paint, rebounds for days. Look at this picture right here. Just scrawny, strong center. Nobody had ever seen this. People were used to these defensive centers, and then Shaq came into the league and just completely just blew everybody away. And then who was his teammate? Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, Penny Hardaway and Shaq.
Him and Shaq were going to be the next big thing in NBA.
Just imagine T-Mac comes over too, and then you have Penny at the
that's
1.
That's actually a thing.
T-Mac at 2.
T-Mac was supposed to join Penny and Shaq. But we all know Penny was plagued by injuries. They did go to the finals, but sadly did not win. And then, the rest was history. Shaq, LA, baby. Who doesn't want to come to LA? Anthony Davis.
Kawhi, Paul George.
Wilt. It's just showtime. You just want to come to LA. Shaq, Big Diesel, was a mentor to Kobe, but come on, man.
The three-peat.
15-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 4 rings, 4-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defensive, 1-time All-Rookie, 3 All-Star MVPs, 3 Final MVPs, 1 MVP and Rookie of the Year. I mean, if this man would have stayed in shape, who knows what him and Kobe would have done. If they didn't get into that fight, oh my God. Scary. Then, back end of his career, gaining weight. He did win 1 championship with Dwayne Wade in Miami, but the rest was history. Shaq just wasn't the same. Just gained a lot of weight, wasn't the same. No, I mean, he was still a blocking monster. He could still dunk on you from time to time, but he just, he let it get to his head. He let money get to his head. He let the fame. He just wasn't the same. But still, just doesn't matter if he was on the Suns, the Celtics, just
Cavs with LeBron.
He will forever be the greatest center to ever play this game.
I agree with that. One of the best centers, athletic, but at the same time, he was still big and strong, be able to block you, hold you off no matter what. And that concludes our first episode of the Whole Lotta Sports Podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for our little mishaps, but it's our first. We're getting there. Hopefully, we're going to get better and better. Episodes come around. Next episode, we're going to start talking about some NBA trades because the deadline's coming up. NBA
trades.
Now we're really going to get into some real stuff. But, I hope everyone enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Like, favorite, subscribe. Oh, no favorites anymore. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, everything, share it much. And anything you want to say, Daniel?
Tell your grandma about it. Tell your uncle about it. Tell your third cousins about it. Tell your teachers about it. Tell Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, that dick-sucking, undisputed first take, whatever that show is, LeBron lover. Tell him I'll talk anybody. Skip Bayless, come at me, man. But yeah, like you said, next episode, NBA trade talk. That's gonna be some spicy conversations and arguments. You guys already know these trade talks are going down. That's all.
Thank you guys for watching and have a good day.